Hi, Church. Pastor Jeff here with another Trinity Check In, coming to you today from our altar here in Spirit Hall. And I want to talk about General Conference. Okay, I know, this is the third one of these videos in a row that's been about General Conference. But this is so momentous for the United Methodist Church, and I think it's important for all of us to understand, to know, and to celebrate. So let me, and I have something special for you at the end of the video today, too. But let me share with you one more story. So if you watched last week's video, you know that all of the language regarding LGBTQ issues was removed from the Book of Discipline. And in fact, the most remarkable part about it is how unremarkable it finally was. We've had many churches leave the denomination. That is sure. Over the entire country, it's about 25%. The vast majority of those churches were small ones, which of course matter just as much as the big ones do. But when it comes to membership lost, I don't know the number there, but it's less than 25%. However, for the past, I believe it's 52 years, what we now realize is a small minority of people at our global meetings called General Conference have been using legislative processes to hold things at bay and to keep harmful language in our Book of Discipline, our rule book as United Methodists. This General Conference has proven quite different. And in fact, what's most remarkable about it is how almost unremarkable it is. If any of you know your Robert's Rules of Orders really well, you know that the consent calendar is where you put things that are easy votes that everybody agrees on. That doesn't even get discussed on the floor. You put all of the boring stuff on the consent calendar, you vote on it all at once, and then you move on to the stuff that actually needs discussion, right? Well, most of the harmful language was removed by consent calendar. I believe it takes 10 people to remove something from it, and they couldn't even get that much. And so, moment after moment, day after day, the harmful parts of the Book of Discipline regarding LGBTQ were removed. Now, of course, there's more work to do in the future. We need to add protections for LGBTQ, for instance. And there's other things that are underway, like things that required constitutional amendments that need to be ratified. Yeah, we can go deep in the weeds of the process if you want. But it is such a big shift for the church. This is a fight that's been going on in our denomination literally since before I was born. Sorry for those of you older than me, that makes me feel even older. But check out this beard. There's a lot of gray in it, right? And this argument has been going on since before I was born. But this is the moment that I want to share with you from General Conference. So the core document of all of it, the core for us is our social principles. It's our statements of what are basic human rights. And it contained one of those phrases that the practice of homosexuality is not compatible with Christian teaching. That phrase drew so much ire. It's what was put into the discipline in 1972. Well, when the discussion came for the new social principles to be adopted and for that line to be removed, one more piece of the puzzle. A lot of the challenge, a lot of the difficulty, a lot of the wondering what was going to happen was coming from African delegates, because for many of them it's still very much illegal in the countries that they're from, and could even put them personally at risk if positive language were adopted. Well, when it came time for the social principles to be debated and came time to talk about removing that phrase, the proposal on the table was simply to remove the phrase. That way the African United Methodists wouldn't have anything that would put them at risk. And with the phrase gone, that at least heals most of the wound, even if we're not affirming in that language yet. But one of the delegates from Zimbabwe, an African, got up and gave what she described as a double-barrel definition of marriage. And she offered, rather than just removing the language, she offered replacement language that would say that marriage was between a man and a woman, but also, or could be, between two adult persons of consenting age. And as I heard it reported by one of our Great Plains delegates who was there, quote, when she spoke to it, she said she wanted to honor regional differences in our church. And so one of the Africans, no, I don't know this woman particularly, but it's likely that she disagrees with the stance, but she wanted to recognize the diversity. She wanted to agree to disagree. Now, in our climate in the world right now, that is such a rare thing, to agree to disagree, to say that we want to be family even though we disagree on this, is a rare and precious thing, and it's something that deserves to be lifted up and lifted up high. And I wanted you all to know that that is your church. That is your church globally. It is your church locally and in every way. And it's yet another thing that makes me proud to be a United Methodist. All of these votes, there is misinformation going around. Some of the disaffiliated churches are putting out things that are simply not true. Honestly, don't worry about it, because we're on the right track. And I hope they go in peace. And I don't mean that ironically. I don't mean that sarcastically. I do hope those who left go in peace. But I'm also glad that we are able to be free of the argument and move on to be the church in every way we can, because, and this is why I'm at the altar today, it all comes back to this. You know, when we have communion, we say all are welcome at this table. We don't say you need to meet certain requirements. There are certain restrictions, certain hoops you have to jump through before you can come to this table and receive God's grace. We say this cup is for everyone, no exceptions. And while it takes a while for official documents and Robert's rules to catch up with what we know in our hearts and what Trinity declared a number of years ago, it's such a relief when the official documents finally do catch up, and I wanted you all to know. All right, with that said, I have a special treat for you to end this video. First of all, in the email along with this video, I'm going to put a couple links to when our bishop, Bishop Wilson, spoke at General Conference. One of them is a statement that he put out that I think also walks that line, trying to bring the left side of the church and the right side of the church into a similar place. But if you're only going to watch one, I would recommend you watch his sermon from General Conference. He is the first Native American bishop, and for him to stand up and preach at General Conference was a big, big deal, and what he had to say was wonderful. So click the link if you want to watch that. But if you keep watching this video right now, just this morning, I was in a meeting with Yvonne Molosi. Yvonne is the pastor at St. Luke's United Methodist on the north side of Lincoln. He is also from Congo, and he speaks French, the language that's shared amongst the various people in that part of Africa. And he was one of the translators at General Conference. He was there in person, and so I asked him if I could turn on my phone and record a video and ask him a few questions about what it was like to be there. Yvonne is always a joy to talk to, and I hope you enjoy hearing from him too. And once again, I hope you also are proud to be a United Methodist on this day especially. I'll see you soon, church. All right, so this is Yvonne. And Yvonne, tell us where you're from originally and where you are from now.
Yes, from the Democratic Republic of Congo, right now serving as the pastor at St. Luke's United Methodist Church here in Lincoln.
And you were at General Conference, not your first one. Tell them what you do.
Yes, I was at the General Conference. I was there as a translator. And our work was ensuring that all the materials that have been discussed are translated in the language of other delegates who could not speak English. And I was translating from French to English and English to French.
So sometimes I know that happens like live while people are talking, but you were doing some of the written. So like the committees would look at petitions all day, and then what?
Yes, so the group of translators that were about 200 of us, we were divided into two groups. One group was translating like simultaneously, and another group was translating the document. And I was part of the team that was working on the document. And our role was, after the morning session, after everything that has been brought into the flow for discussion, we will take that and translate it into French, as for my case, so that it will be available at least 4 to 5 hours before the session next day, so that when delegates are on the floor, on the session to vote, they will know what they will be talking about and what they will vote for.
That's a lot of work and not easy work. And you were talking earlier about theological language, like it's not always easy translation, I'll bet.
Yes, that was really beautiful. Like on my team, I was the only pastor and theologian. I had wonderful people who had years of experience in translation, but there was always somewhere, somehow, where there is this theological term that was difficult to translate it for those who did not have any theological background, or even some word terminology that we use as United Methodists, which were difficult for others. So that was like my part to bring in and try to get the right word in French for those terms.
That's awesome. Well, thank you for making General Conference happen and your part in it. Would you also tell us how this year was different than previous General Conferences? Will you say it's your third one?
Yes, this one is the third one for me. This one was really different from other one. From the first day, as people arrived, you could sense really an atmosphere of peace, love, and understanding. So many interactions among delegates. And the worship service, the prayers that were taking place, it was really beautiful from the starting point and even up to the end. I didn't see many people not being happy. I see that most, if not everybody, was happy with the outcome of it.
Yeah, and boy, I don't want to talk about the dark side too much, but previous General Conferences had protesters, police were called, things like that, right?
Yes, previous general conferences, there were protests whereby the session had to stop so that they could take a moment just to put everything and everybody in order back. Police had to be called and take some other people out of the convention center, but we didn't see that. Personally, I saw people who were praying during lunch break. I saw people in the place that we had like a prayer room. People were always going there to pray. It was really beautiful and so peaceful this time.
That is awesome.
Yes, indeed.
Well, thank you for being part of it, and thank you for sharing it with us at Trinity.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for asking me to do this.
All right.
Thank you.